Hey, shalom, shalom, yishbokah. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shomer, and today I'm going to be talking about Ishmael's Akeidah. Now, this is a very controversial and touchy subject because I'm dealing with Islam. I'm dealing with the people of Ishmael, the people who claim to come from Ishmael, which comprise the Islamic or Muslim religion today. There are extremists out there, and I'm not talking about Muslim extremists. Yes, there is Muslim and Islamic extremists, but the extremism I'm referring to is where you take a people group or you take a religious group and you paint them all one color, and you say they're all bad eggs, doesn't matter. Yes, I realize that there are terrorists out there. There are Islamic terrorists and Muslims out there. I realize that, but you know what? I don't care what you say. Not every Muslim is a terrorist. Does that mean that I support or uphold the religion of Islam? Well, no. I'm just saying that there are different degrees of observance in Islam and different degrees of Muslims. Just as the same as in Christianity and Judaism. You have liberal Christians, you have Reform Jews, you have Orthodox Jews, you have conservative Christians, you have Jews who are terrorists and Zionists. And lean more towards terrorism. You have Jews who are pacifists. You have Christians who bomb abortion clinics. You have Christians who don't do that. So I'm not going to paint one people group or one religious group all one color or all one stripe. So, I'm sure I'm probably going to get a lot of nasty grams and nasty emails and comments regarding this video, but, spiritually speaking and even DNA-wise, the sons of Ishmael, the Muslims, the people of Islam, are spiritually our cousins and physically our cousins to the Jewish people, because you know what? They all come from the same father. They come from Abraham. Abraham had Ishmael and Abraham had Isaac. Isaac is the father of the Jewish people, and the Christians claim adoption into that family through Isaac, and Ishmael is the father or progenitor of whom we refer to as the Muslims today, physically and spiritually. So I want to bring out the point that there is an Akeidah for Ishmael. Everybody knows about the Isaac's Akeidah. In other words, the Akeidah means the binding, where Abraham went to Mount Moriah with Isaac. Isaac was around 30 years of age. They went up to the mountain, and Abraham offered up Isaac, or was going to offer up Isaac as a sacrifice. Isaac was a willing sacrifice. God stopped him, provided a ram in his place, and so it's called the Akeidah in Judaism. And we recite this passage every morning in prayers throughout the year in Judaism. And I want to bring out the point that in my study of Scripture that there is an Akeidah for Ishmael. There is a type of binding for Ishmael. Am I saying that Abraham took Ishmael up to attempt to sacrifice him? No, it was a different nature, but it was an Akeidah. It was a binding nonetheless. Listen to what it says in Genesis chapter 17, verses 17 through 21. Then Avraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Avraham said to Elohim, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And Elohim said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call him Yitzhak, Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And listen to what God says about Ishmael. Does he say, as far as Ishmael, he's done. I'm going to destroy his line. He's evil. No. He said, as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. What? Hold on a second. Wasn't that the promise that God gave to Isaac? Yep, same exact promise. He would have 12 tribes come out of him, and he'd be a great nation. And so we see the same promise was given to Ishmael. The only difference is Ishmael is not a son of the covenant. Isaac is the son of the covenant and is carrying on the covenant of Torah and Mashiach to the people of the world. But yet he blessed Ishmael with the exact same blessings, excluding the covenant aspect. And he says in verse 21, But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this time next year. So we see that Ishmael's Akeidah happened before Isaac's. Instead of Avraham, it was Hagar, and though Avraham too was grieved, instead of a burnt offering, it was a death threat by thirst. Instead of a ram as salvation, it was the water at the well. So when Avraham is instructed by Sarah and approved by God to get rid of Hagar and Ishmael, to send them off into the desert, we see this is where Ishmael's Akeidah occurred. That Hagar was there, and she ran out of water. She didn't have any supplies, and she put her son away, did not want to see her son die of thirst. And so that was a type of binding. That was a desperate type of situation that was presented, where instead of Abraham, it was Hagar kind of playing the part of Abraham. And even though Abraham was grieved as well, just as he was grieved to bind Isaac and to offer him as a sacrifice, he did it anyway. And Avraham was grieved to send Ishmael away, but he knew it was necessary. So instead of Ishmael being offered as a burnt offering, he was going to burn up with thirst. He was going to die of thirst. That was the threat. And instead of where Isaac was a ram substituted Isaac as a sacrifice, even though Ishmael was going to die of thirst, the substitution was the well. There was a well that was discovered, a well that was revealed to them and found. Also, we see traditionally it says that Isaac went to study with Shem after the Akeidah, and we see Ishmael becomes an archer. Isaac marries shortly after the Akeidah, as does Ishmael. Isaac was in his 30s, and Ishmael was in his teens. So those are some parallels and some differences. Now, let me read to you Genesis 21:10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous to in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said to Abraham, Let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of the bondwoman, and all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation. He's repeating that promise to Abraham again. I will make Ishmael a nation. Why? Because he's your son, he's your seed. And Abraham rose early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water. Oh, we see Abraham arose early in the morning, and gathered wood, and saddled the donkey, and, same with Isaac. And he gave it unto Hagar, and put it on her shoulders, and the child, and sent her away. And she departed, and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast her child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him a good way off, and as if it were a bow shot, and she said, Let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him, and lifted up her voice, and wept. And God said, You guys are evil, you guys deserve to die. No! And God heard the voice of the lad of Ishmael. And the angel of Elohim called to Hagar out of heaven, and said unto her, Why aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not, for Elohim has heard the voice of the lad where he is. The God of Abraham heard Ishmael's voice. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold them in thine hand, for I will make him a great nation. 3 times we've read that Ishmael's going to be a great nation. And God opened her eyes, and showed her a well of water, and she filled the bottle with water, and gave it to her son to drink. And God was with the lad. He was with Isaac too, but he said, I'm with Ishmael. God was with Ishmael. And he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took him out of the land of Egypt. So we see here that Ishmael was favored as well. I'm running out of time here. I'm going to continue this teaching in the next video. Please watch the second video so you'll get the full story of Ishmael's Akeidah. Thanks for watching. Shalom and Shavua Tov.